Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In the suburbs of London, a house was rented out to an unsuspecting single mother. She would soon regret her decision. What happened there is so disturbing that it's been labeled England's most haunted house. You've probably heard about it before, because it was featured on an episode of Ghost Adventures. They called it the most intense haunting they ever witnessed. So what actually happened in that house? Is it really cursed, or was it something else? Let's find out. This is the story of the Enfield Poltergeist. Between 1977 and 1979, the Hodgson family lived in the suburbs of London. It was an average, middle-class family. The mother, Kathleen, was a single parent who worked as a typist. She had 4 daughters: Christine, 23, Caroline, 21, Janet, 16, and the youngest daughter, Margaret, 14. It was just an ordinary family living in an ordinary home, in an ordinary neighborhood. That is, until strange things started happening inside the house. At first it was small things like furniture moving on its own, or hearing footsteps when nobody was around. But then more sinister things began to happen. Objects started flying across the room. Pictures fell off the walls. Glasses shattered. And they could have sworn that they heard voices whispering to them. Sometimes they'd hear disembodied footsteps above their heads, as if someone was walking on the floor above them. But there was no one up there. It was an old house with only 2 floors. But it wasn't just the objects that came to life. The girls, especially Janet, started levitating. No, seriously. They claimed that Janet levitated several times. It was even caught on camera by a journalist from the Daily Mirror newspaper. They say that they saw Janet hovering around the room, as if she were a balloon floating away. They say that she spun around the room and then floated all the way to the ceiling. But these levitation incidents didn't last long. After the media got involved, the ghost of Janet seemed to disappear. But that's not where the story ends. If you're thinking that this has to be a hoax, then hold your horses. There are claims that even the ghost of Adolf Hitler appeared in the house. We know that sounds absolutely insane, but let us explain. You see, there were witnesses to these terrifying events. It wasn't just the Hodgson family who experienced this. Their neighbors also heard strange noises and saw objects flying through the air. One neighbor even claimed to have seen the ghost of a man walking down the street. But that wasn't the strangest thing. The neighbor claimed that the ghost walked into the house, and then the lights flickered and went out. When they turned back around, he was gone. So we have witnesses. We have a family claiming that they were haunted. Are we supposed to believe them? That's up for you to decide. We will, however, tell you that 2 journalists from the Daily Mirror newspaper witnessed a glass shattering on its own. A photographer named David Fowler captured what he thought was the ghost of a man on camera. A writer named Guy Lionel Grant claimed that he experienced a bookshelf moving right in front of him. Not convinced yet? Well, how about we bring in the professionals? Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren were brought in to help the family. They were a famous paranormal investigating couple. They claimed that the house was infested with demons. They said that these demons used Janet as a vessel to communicate with them. Here's a recording of Lorraine Warren's investigation. She says, "When we came into the house, the place vibrated. It was filled with evil. As she went upstairs, the temperature dropped dramatically. At that point, the girl became hysterical. And then it was very obvious that there were some diabolical forces in operation. They were so convinced that the house was haunted that they offered to perform an exorcism. The priest who performed the exorcism, Father Albert Hughes, was not so sure about this. He said, I was rather skeptical. I don't believe in ghosts or poltergeists, but I had an open mind as far as the devil was concerned. And after the experience, I am more convinced than ever that the devil exists. According to the priest, during the ritual, the bed started shaking violently. He felt a cold breeze and smelled sulfur. And then something shocking happened. The priest claimed that he was slapped by an invisible force. Here's another recording of the exorcism. You can hear the priest asking God for help. You can hear him say, "Satan, Satan, leave this house, get out. I command you, leave now." If this recording is real, then these people might have actually been possessed by demons. But some people have suggested that this could have been staged. After all, this is the same priest who supposedly performed the exorcism on the Amityville horror house. He was also the priest who blessed the doll, Annabelle, and he was friends with the Warrens. So it wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that they all collaborated on this fake exorcism. But what about those pictures that showed Janet levitating? Surely those couldn't have been faked. Well, here's the funny thing. Nobody knows whether they're real or fake. The original negatives are missing. The photos were printed from the original negatives, which means that they could have been altered or changed. There's no proof that these photos are real. And then there's this video of Janet spinning around and levitating. Is it real or fake? Once again, no one knows. This is footage from a TV documentary that aired in 1979. It shows the family in their home. They claimed that they captured Janet levitating on film. But once again, the original footage is missing. All that remains are copies of the copies, which can easily be fake. The story of the Enfield Poltergeist didn't end there. In the years since then, the house has had several new owners. None of them stayed for long. Each new owner claimed that the home is cursed. Here's a terrifying story from one of the homeowners. Diana, a single mother, moved into the home with her young son. She wanted to make the home a happy place for her son. But unfortunately, that wasn't possible. She experienced strange phenomena while living there. She heard children laughing and playing when she was alone in the house. She also saw objects move on their own. And then the scariest thing happened. She woke up in the middle of the night to find her young son levitating above his bed. But when she turned the light back on, he was back in his bed sleeping peacefully. This house continued to have unfortunate owners. Another woman named Maria disliked the home as soon as she stepped inside. She immediately felt depressed. She also claimed that she was bitten by rats while sleeping in the home. Her dog would shake violently for no reason. The plants and flowers in the garden died. Even the home's real estate agent hated the home. He claimed that every time he entered the house, he felt dread and despair. He said, "I was a full-time believer in ghosts until I sold that house." So is this house really haunted? Should you believe the stories? We will let you decide. But we will tell you that there is one thing that is not debatable. This house is cursed. Something dark happened in that house. Maybe it was a demon. Maybe it was a ghost. Or maybe it was something else. All we know is that this curse continues to live on. Which brings us to our question. Do you believe in ghosts and demons? If so, then what do you think happened in this house? Let us know in the comments. And now, for the crazy part. Those who watched this far are truly the biggest fans. So here's your reward, a bonus fact. The ghost of Adolf Hitler isn't the only famous ghost that allegedly haunts this house. People also reported seeing the ghost of Jack the Ripper. If you want to know more about the scariest serial killer of all time, watch the video on your screen.